Alright guys, Supreme Kami here, and today we are going to be doing the Alteration review for the big scale high new Gundam here. So I actually did probably 2 to 3 multi-summon off camera because I kind of wanted new parts specifically just for the event boosting for the overall unit itself. But this one is actually quite good. I would say that it definitely has a lot of peak armor. Definitely has a lot of peak, shot defense stats, so that was quite good to see. So this one essentially is going to be like your, I would have to say, like a pretty good pure shooting based unit, and with a little bit of a mixture of like, oh, 1 or 2 part you can use it on both build because of the portrait is actually quite universal. But overall unit, or the overall part roster, we do have 7 parts in total. They didn't really bother adding any new parts nor new EX skills on here, so pretty much what we are seeing, we have been seeing for the past 2 years already. So kind of unfortunate. I mean, like, they could definitely throw in like a brand new EX skill, at least like a new animation. I'll definitely be happy about that, but no, they did not. So but without any further ado, let's hop in with the head part here. But keep that in mind, this one is a big skill, so altering any of these parts, if you guys are able to pull, it's going to be good. Just because just big scale is generally good. If you do subside into a 1-to-1 for the first skill, you guys can definitely get a lot of benefit out of that. So if you guys are able to pull any part, definitely the alteration wouldn't be bad at all. So starting off the head part here, so you guys can see that the armor is pretty good. Sharp defense is a pretty high top the rope as well, but the actual shot, like the actual base shot attack, it's not that high, only 13,000, but that is definitely going to be something that you can make up for it if you do use that 40% change skill, so that is actually quite beneficial. Work towers on this one is going to be AC exclusive and then mid-range. So I see that they have been lately trying to buff up these additional kind of war tags that we're not generally seeing. But I guess in terms of my build, I go for the really generic setup, AC exclusive, high firepower, and then commander. While here they're trying to promote, let's say, mid-range, and then especially this unit itself, they are heavily promoting the use of Federation war tag, which is actually not that bad. Just because like a few weeks ago they have been providing support to that transformer tag, so it's quite good to see that they are going for a little bit more diverse build. So not everyone has to be building on the same, like plain war tag. For example, you can go for like different varieties and it will still work out pretty good in a sense. So war tag wise in it, or the portrait in this one, is definitely very good. So if you guys are able to put head, this is definitely something you do want to be maining, especially if you do take a look at the portrait we have for some of the other one. I will not say any of the other one are good except for maybe the Straight Freedom, because it does have some of the newer portrait language, like the one that's the damage. So this one is good. Like you see these, place these together, they are so good, right? If you go for some of the older generation stuff, like you have double EX, like you have shooting power and EX skill, not that they're bad, but if you do like these two combined, they would turn out just quite more powerful than your traditional power boosting, right? Because this one essentially is you doing 50% more damage to your opponent, so it magnifies your damage output in a sense, right? Not to discredit, we still have some pretty good ones, like the Wing Zero, for example, or we have like the second V, still have some pretty top-notch portraits, so those are still considered good. But these are just better in today's sense. Like if you want to talk about meta, what you should be chasing, if we do go down the list, we still have some pretty good parts on the roster as well. So just don't want to discredit them. They are you just have some better options out there. So this one is good. So if you guys are able to put ahead and you're planning to do like another investment of like what is a good head part for a ship based build, this one could be the answer that you're looking for. Alright, so moving over to the chest, so you guys can see the continuous trend of just some higher armor there, 12.7k. Shot defense is going to be 10.7k, so that's actually quite high. Wartail wise on this one is going to be ace exclusive and then high firepower as what he's standing for the overall stats. This one is going to be coming in not that bad, it's actually within the top 5 or so, so that's quite good. Good portrait. I mean, portrait wise is kind of questionable, just because they are going for the same generic, oh, they're gonna pack in one power trait and then they're gonna be packing in that one utility where you have the functionality to just kind of reduce your cooldown. So that's if you guys do need that, definitely go for it. But in my honest take, go for something that is within the standard pool or even the warfare selection, because those are just so much more easier to just get maxing out. because these, you got to keep that in mind. Base portrait level 1, they are starting at 10%. So how much more level do you need to go to before it's kind of maximized? I would definitely have to say probably portrait level 8 or even higher. But you guys kind of get the overall idea that these investments take so long, and sometimes with those welfare or standard, they are just easy to obtain, and they are pretty much providing the same that you really much need. With this one, with a little bit apart, you do get another additional great portrait that is, some enemy odd damage plus 20% or 25%, and maxing out about 40%. So, it's gonna be like a pick and choose, and more like, oh, what kind of investment timeline are you looking for? If you want something that's fast paced, definitely go for those standard slash welfare. If you don't mind putting in the timer into it, go with the limited part. And I'm just gonna tell you guys, it is gonna take forever. Even if you're talking about buying, let's say the pay hanger, for example, it's still gonna take weeks and even months to get it upgraded to portrait level 10. So not to discredit that the standardism is good. So if you do have like another good let's say torso piece baked already, kind of up in let's say level, but you just need a better front part or anything, this one definitely does for that role, because this one first supporting that tech attribute, got that big scale alternative attribute, so you do get a lot of value to this, and common vortex, ace-assisted, and then high firepower, so you name it. So this one is still good for the stat purposes, but as for the portrait, I don't know how many of you guys do want to sit through that whole grind for that higher portrait level. So moving over to the arm, so the arm part is pretty good in terms of stat once again. So 11.2 for the armor, or 11.2k for the armor, and then 10.1k for the shot defense. So looking fairly good. Shot attack on all the part, I would definitely say it is slightly a little bit less. I do want it maybe closing into almost 7,000, but not nearly there, so you can kind of get a little bit more juice out of it. But no, I think that's simply fine. The shot defense definitely makes up for it. So this one does have an EX skill. It's going to be the arm machine gun, so it's not going to be too crazy. The only thing I like about this EX skill itself is the fact that it's the fact that every time when you click, like per time, since this one's a magazine, like per rotation, it rotates back so fast. So you can kind of go in succession in a fast pace, while if you compare it to the back part, which we'll go over in this bit, that one has a fairly slow recoil. So in terms of, like, let's say you want to spam it consistently in a fast rapid state, probably not going to be your best option. So I'll definitely go for this one. And this one does happen to be physical, so it may or may not work out in your favor depending on how you look at things. But this one overall does have some pretty good attacks as well, ace assisted, and not high firepower. Definitely gonna be some stat sticking purposes for sure for this part right there. So moving over to the leg part, which is probably one of the most, I want to say, interesting, just the fact that they are providing double EXQ cooldown reduction by an X amount percent. This is not something that we have not seen before. I think the last time we have seen something of this nature, this one was in the form of the Destiny, the tech attribute big scale Destiny. That one was providing nearly the same thing, but instead of this one is a 28%. So this one is probably the highest we have ever seen, because like what we have seen so far in terms of doubling up is only maxing out at 20%. So you have a double 20%, so enhanced 40%. This one takes it to the next level. 8% more per, so you're getting a roughly about a 16% more. So this is right here, it's crazy. And what's good about this one, if you're talking about investment, this one does not really require the biggest let's say upgrade. For example, this one is starting out at 18% at portrait level 1. So this one is very valuable. So if you work out probably 1 or 2 level, you are probably getting into double 20%, which enhance makes it at 40%. So this one is good. The only caveat is you do have to run it on Federation and tech attribute. So those are going to be some minor kind of issue that you have to kind of deal with. But overall, definitely a very good leg part right there. Ace Ace exclusive, and then Federation right there. As for the overall stat, it is seemingly very well balanced in this one. So you do continue to get your high armor, you do continue to get your high shot defense, but offensive stat for both melee and shot is actually pretty comparable, and then melee defense is actually quite good as well. So this one does makes it a very good all-rounder, just a very universally built part. So if you guys are able to get the leg, definitely don't mind putting in a little bit of effort as a kind of just to work around with it. But this one, Federation, could be a big problem if you guys do not have a lot of good Federation parts sitting around. But overall, it's still a very good leg piece we're looking at. So moving over now to the back part. So once again, we do have some pretty insanely good armor stat right there. So 12.2. Shot DPS is going to be 10.4k, so it's not bad overall. This one is going to be on the EXQ base, and the EXQ is going to be the Hyper Mega Bazooka Launcher, so something that we have seen from the old High New Gundam already, so nothing too new. The only thing that they are providing here is that they are going to be providing some squad recovery by 38%, and then a shot attack to your squad by 44%. So this part is good. It's just keeping the same integrity of like boosting your ally some shot attacks, but this one did give it two new factors. Is that they give it the health recovery as well as the non-flinching for a set period of time, so that part is good, so no complaints to that. So this one, in terms of stat wise, is definitely going to be leaning towards the shot shoot based boost once again. Side wise, so this one is going to be ace exclusive and then mid range. So yeah, as for the back part, we tend to not have a lot of stuff with portrait, just because EXQ are tend to be in the back. I don't know why they just have all the good ones in the back part. So yeah, so moving over to the Beam Saber now. So the Beam Saber does not initially come with any shot attack whatsoever, but we do have a pretty nice chunks of shot defense, so that is definitely going to get converted into that 3886 for the actual shot attack, so it's not that bad. Portrait was in this one is definitely very good, so we do have a double enemy EX. So first one we're looking at is the EXQ damage plus 50%, while the other one is going to be enemy on damage plus 50%. So both of them are so powerful, but the only caveat, you do have to run this fully on a transformer, or not transformer, excuse me, on a Federation build. So depending on how you're looking at this one, may not just cater everyone, but for those that are able to benefit from this one, just using that portrait on a regular basis already, this one is going to be a very good one. Granted, if you guys are able to pull it, so this one could be something that you guys may want to look up for eventually, if and whenever they bring back like a 36 hours on banner. But even on the next banner, I don't really perceive this one to be on that specific banner just yet, just because they do have to kind of rotate back to some of the additional units and etc. But yeah, this one is definitely just a very good part. Just that 50% in nature is like sheesh, just really good. And this one is being a Saber category, so definitely does make subslot very easy indeed. And last but not least, we do have the shield parts to look at. So the shield one in this one does have some pretty good armor once again, so bringing in that 9k digit. As for the actual base shot attack, it is actually quite low, so even if you have that enormous amount of shot defense, it is not really going to be ranking any higher than all these guys over here. So word wise on this one is going to be ace exclusive and then mid range once again. As the EXK, we have the beam gun. So this one itself, in my honest finding, shoots really slow per every recalling. So I don't know why. Probably maybe this one's a beam, that's why it's a little bit slower, or just probably this shield itself has a problem. But this one overall is pretty good. This dash out pretty high damage overall. So but yeah, definitely stat wise on all these parts over here, this gears for some heavily good armor, good shot defense. So I don't think there's anything to really complain about this overall unit. But do let me know how you guys feel about the High New Gundam. So basically let me know how many you guys actually summoned for it. The only reason why I summoned on it was just purely to get the event boosting parts. As for the overall unit itself, I do have the original one already, so it's not necessarily something that I really needed at the current time. But overall, that is pretty much it for the Alteration review, and then I'll be catching you all on the next one.